안녕하세요. 제 이름은 캐니멀샘이에요. 오늘 제가 처음으로 녹화하는 날인데 오늘부터 재미있는 책! 근데 이 책은 영어 책들을 읽어드릴 거예요. 처음으로 오늘 읽을 책은 Bad Magic. 이거를 엄청 두꺼워서 조금씩 읽을 건데요. 이거를 다 읽으면 또 다른 책을 읽을 거예요. 정말 재밌어요. 그러면 Bad Magic 한번 시작해 볼까요? Bad Magic 보이나요? To Nutella and India. Now it's fair. This book begins with a bad word. Can you guess which one? Wait! Don't say it out loud! Don't even think it to yourself. I get into enough trouble as it is. In fact, if the only reason you open this book is to find the bad words in it, you will be sorely disappointed. I learned the hard way to keep my running clean. Alas, when the hero of this book, Clay, first pronounced this word that I just mentioned, or rather that I most definitely did not mention, the swear word, this curse word, this very, very bad word, this word that I am not repeating or in any way revealing, word that I'm... whatever. He didn't know there was anything wrong with it. He was only 3 years old. Where would such a young boy learn such a grown-up word? I have no idea. I certainly didn't teach it to him. Maybe his father yelled it when his father stubbed his toe. Maybe his babysitter rumbled it into her phone when she thought Clay was sleeping. Maybe an older boy taught him the word because the older boy thought it was funny to hear a 3-year-old say it. It really doesn't matter where Clay learned the word any more than it matters that the word was. It only matters that he said the word when he did. At the time of this fateful event, Clay was in a crowded elevator, leaving his first dentist appointment. And as his brother would tell it later, Clay was happily sucking on the acid green lollipop he had been given as a reward for his good behavior when all of a sudden he took the lollipop out of his mouth and hollered this terrible, terrible word at the top of his lungs. Needless to say, everybody in the elevator was shocked to hear such full language come out of such a small child. A big giggled. An old lady frowned. Even her Pekingese lapdog seemed to whimper in distress. Mortified, Clay's brother was 12 years older than Clay, who was in charge of Clay for the afternoon, leaned into Clay's ear and whispered, "You can't say that. That's a bad word." Clay looked at his brother in confusion. Why? What did it do? Everybody laughed. The mood in the elevator elevated. But that isn't the end of the story. On the bus ride home, Clay's brother couldn't get Clay's question out of his head. What did bad words do? What made them bad? Finally, he had an answer. Bad words are bad because they make people feel bad. That's what they do. Clay nodded. This made sense to him. And good words make people feel good? Right. And magic words make people feel magic? Clay's brother hesitated. He was an amateur magician and said magic words all the time mostly, while practicing tricks on Clay. But he never thought about them in the particular way. I guess. How about that? Akadabra, said Clay, giggling. Shakazam. Sometimes between siblings or close friends, words take on meanings that can't easily be explained to other people. They become like inside jokes, inside words, as it were. After the elevator episode, bad word became Clay and his brother's inside word for magic word. Also for code word and for password and for any other word that had some unique power sign of it. For any word that did something. Can you think of a bad word for me? Clay's brother would ask after making a coin disappear behind his hand or pulling a scarf out of Clay's ear. What's the bad word? Clay would demand, blocking his brother's access to the refrigerator or bathroom. As Clay grew older and became more and more adept at magic tricks himself, possibly more so than his brother, although please don't tell anyone I said so. Bad word attained its special meaning. Hey, bad man, what's the bad word? They would ask each other in greeting. When they left coded messages for each other, they would leave hints about the bad word needed to decode the message. When they did magic shows for their parents or friends, they called themselves Bad Brothers. Bad was their bond. Then around the time Clay turned 11, his brother pulled off the biggest, baddest magic trick of all. He disappeared with little warning and no explanation. That was almost 2 years ago. And still, Clay would sometimes wonder what he'd done to drive his brother away. What had he said? What bad word had he uttered without knowing it? And what bad magic would make his brother come back? Now, we're going to start chapter 1. Chapter 1, Magic Sucks. Clay was not the type of person who would want a book written about him. He may as well admit that now. Go ahead, judge me, call me names, curse me, and the horse I rode it on. But there it is. He wasn't shy exactly. But these days, at the age of 12, almost 13, he liked to keep a low profile. He slouched in his chair. He hid his face in a comic book or skateboard magazine. He wore a hoodie even on warm days. It wasn't that he had a big nose or funny ears or hair well hanged. I may be biased, but I think he was almost handsome. 저게 클레이라는 주인공이고요. 잠깐만요. I think he was almost handsome in a dried snot on his sleeve sort of way. It was just that he preferred not to attract attention. Just being looked at for longer than a moment made him start jiggling his knee. I can only guess what Clay would have thought about being scrutinized for almost 400 pages. Still, it happens to everyone occasionally. Being looked at, I mean. On the morning to which I now turn, the mournful. On that morning, kids kept looking at Clay, not just once or twice, but repeatedly. And he had no idea why. It started as soon as he got to school. The star turned away so fast that he almost thought he'd imagined it. But the next few were bolder. They openly at him and shook her head. 2 boys he couldn't remember seeing before gave him a thumbs up, and that was even more alarming. After he stowed his skateboard in his locker, Clay ducked into the bathroom, examined himself in the mirror. There were no boogers hanging from his nose. His fly wasn't open. His hair was a mess, as usual, but it was hidden under his hoodie. He could see nothing wrong. Nothing that wasn't wrong anyway. Had somebody been spreading rumors about him? Had he been mistaken for someone else? It made no sense. Clay's first class language arts was on the yard next to the basketball court.
Was on the ground floor with an entrance directly off the schoolyard. You missed one line.
Was on the ground floor with an entrance directly off the schoolyard next to the basketball court. 정말 죄송합니다. 이게 제 일과 처음 녹화하는 거라서 정말 죄송합니다. When he walked up, a half dozen kids were already standing around talking in hushed voices. While the others took a few steps back, Clay's best friend, Gideon, stepped right up to Clay. Okay, yeah, sure. It's kind of awesome. And I'm always saying you should just do this. Like, what are you waiting for? But here, now, at school? Seriously? Gideon had this odd way of speaking of a conversation. It was a little hard to follow even for Clay. 오늘은